Congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning a Super Bowl. Although I really thought the 49ers were going to win, I was really rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs, despite my money being on the 49ers. And bear in mind, the reason I picked the 49ers was typically the defensive team that knows how to run the ball and control the clock usually beats the offensive juggernaut. But I'm glad to see that I was proven wrong, even though if it meant me losing some money. Now that the regular season of the NFL is over, we get to talk about some very fun stuff, which is player movement in the NFL offseason. And we're going to see a lot of it. But one of the most interesting players that could potentially find a brand new home this offseason is, without a doubt, the greatest or one of the greatest players of all time, depending on who you ask. And that's Tom Brady, a player who's considered to be the GOAT of the NFL, might be leaving his team, which really makes it interesting because this kind of brings me to a similar place as when Michael Jordan left the Chicago Bulls while he retired for a couple of years and then came out of retirement to play for the Washington Wizards. And on this channel, we draw a lot of parallels to basketball, and on my basketball channel, The Flight Mic, we draw a lot of parallels to football. But I figure that's a very interesting comparison because currently the favorite to re-sign Tom Brady isn't the New England Patriots. It's either the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Las Vegas Raiders. And I figured this is such a newsworthy topic. This is a video that needs to be made. We need to step away from the headlines really quickly, guys, and talk just pure football. Talk whether this makes sense or not. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be discussing whether Tom Brady will actually go ahead and leave the New England Patriots. And if he's not going to leave the New England Patriots, why are the Patriots letting him test free agency? This is the first time in Tom Brady's career that he's going to be testing the open market in free agency. He spent his first 20 seasons in the NFL with the Patriots, and he's consistently taken pay cuts to remain with the storied franchise. And the reason for that is he's very famous amongst Boston fans for doing this, but he has a wife. We all know Giselle. She makes a lot of money as well. So Tom Brady would typically take these pay cuts in order to allow Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots to acquire as much help as they possibly can to help Tom Brady become the greatest player of all time in the sport of football, which is very admirable. He literally is turning down checks for legacy. That's what you want in a player. So I don't think this entire decision is being fueled by money, because apparently the Patriots are willing to pay Tom Brady in excess of $30 million. It's no surprise here why Tom Brady could be a little frustrated. So the reason why Tom Brady would want to leave, and this is probably the only reason I could figure out why Tom Brady would want to leave, is due to frustrations that he had with the New England Patriots offense. Going back to December 2nd, when the Patriots were 10-2, they were riding a very, very potent rushing attack and a very aggressive defense to a great record. Tom Brady said, "I don't think there's any real magic formula. There's no magic play you can call that will work. It just comes down to everyone believing in one another and trusting in one another and having the confidence that we can go out and execute on a consistent basis. It's one thing to say it, it's another to do it. There are some times when we've done it and scored points, and then there are other times we haven't, and it leads to negative plays, turnovers, and punts where you don't score. We've had quite a bit of turnover and change, and that's natural. We're working through these things like every other team. I know there are high expectations for us. There have been for a long time. We have high expectations. I wish we could win every game and win by 50 points every game, but I don't think that gives enough credit to the teams we're playing. This isn't the Harlem Globetrotters. It's hard to win in the NFL and hard to win on the road." And then as the season would wear on, Tom Brady would be preaching realism in terms of his offensive ability. This interview came after Tom Brady completed 7 of 19 passes for 82 yards in a first half against the Houston Texans, and he actually threw an interception as well to N'Keal Harry, who was a first-round pick of the New England Patriots. But what I'm trying to get to here is the only reason Tom Brady would leave is due to frustrations with the New England Patriots offense. And I could understand why it's frustrating. We're talking about a guy who has thrown 541 touchdowns to 179 interceptions in his career, who's thrown for over 74,000 yards in his career. So naturally, and of course, if you want, his best season was in 2007 when the New England Patriots acquired Randy Moss. He threw for 50 touchdowns and 4,800 yards that season, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because he threw for 4,000 yards this past season. Although he didn't throw for nearly as many touchdowns, he threw for about half of that. So it's understandable that Tom Brady still thinks to a certain extent that he still got it. But at the same time, you need to understand that the type of scheme that succeeds around Tom Brady at this stage of his career, at the age of 42, is the exact same scheme that the New England Patriots are running. Listen, like, Tom Brady is 42 years old. He's not going to come out here and throw for over 5,000 yards. Those years are behind him, but that's okay. He still has one of the most brilliant football minds in the entire league, if not the most brilliant football mind in the entire league. There's no better quarterback that could sit back and pick apart a defense, audible to the right play, and exploit the defense he's playing against than Tom Brady. This is what Peyton Manning did in his final year in the NFL. This is what won him a Super Bowl. He would come to the line of scrimmage, he would read the defense, he would audible to a play that would exploit that defense, and that, on top of the fact that the Broncos had their own very difficult defense to stop, resulted in a Super Bowl for Peyton Manning. And that's exactly what the Patriots are trying to do. They're supplementing Tom Brady's incredible offensive ability and his mastery of the game with a defense that can shut down the opposing team while controlling the clock. This usually results in Super Bowls, although it didn't really work for the 49ers this past year. I think that had mainly to do with coaching. So what do I think is going to happen with Tom Brady? Well, it depends. It honestly depends on how much he wants to prove that he could still play without Bill Belichick. If he wants to really go out of his way to prove that, hey, I'm still that quarterback that could throw like deep balls and I'm going to prove it to you with another team, then I think his best bet is to sign with either the Buccaneers or the Raiders. And honestly, I think both of those teams have an even chance at getting him. I feel like the Las Vegas Raiders would be a little bit more aggressive at pursuing him, mainly because they just moved to Vegas and they want to make a big splash, and that would be amazing marketing for the Las Vegas Raiders. Imagine Tom Brady as the face of your franchise for a year or two as you're making the transition from Oakland to Las Vegas. I think that's probably the more likely scenario, but I think what's going to end up happening is Tom Brady will humble himself and understand his best chance at winning will be with the greatest, one of the greatest, I don't want to get into this argument on this channel, but one of the greatest football coaching minds of all time, and stay with the New England Patriots, because at the same time, I don't think he realizes what's out there. He's never had to play for a front office or a coaching staff that was inept or that wasted talent or that simply just didn't know how to coach or assemble a roster. Tom Brady has never had to play for such a roster. He never had to play for a Jason Garrett. He's never had to play for the Cleveland Browns. He's never had to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, with all due respect, yeah, they're trending upward, but before this past year, they weren't looking that good. So since Tom Brady never had to play in those situations, I think he needs to take a step back and realize, hey, look, I know it's a little boring. I do the same thing year after year. You know, the Patriot way could be a little bit grueling, especially on a 42-year-old that wants to play until 45. But I think he needs to sit back and say, listen, at the end of the day, this is my best chance at winning. I have the greatest mastermind head coach in the entire NFL that could game plan and will always make sure that I'm at the most prepared that I could be when I face an opposing team. And I have an owner that would literally pay me $30 million, despite me not really being worth $30 million at this stage of my career, to keep me in New England. I'm one of the most beloved figures in Boston. I should stay with the Patriots. And bear in mind, man, I hate the Patriots. And I hate the Patriots in the sense that they always freaking win and they're always so good and unstoppable. It's like a respectful fan hatred. But let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think should happen with Tom Brady? Do you think he should stay with New England? Do you think there's a reason for him to move on from New England? And if Tom Brady leaves, who do you think will come and take his place? I don't think it's going to be Jarrett Stidham, bro. I think Cam Newton's coming over. I'm your boy Microphone, and I'll catch you guys in the next upload.